science, there's a term known as the negativity bias, and you can write this word down if you have the intention today to have your notes out and write a few things down. You know, I'll tell you, I'll give you an idea of what the negativity bias is like that is really installed within each and every one of us. A black cat comes around, and as that black cat comes around, we notice it. And with that black cat, we notice that there are 3, 4, 5, 6 different positive things that happen in that moment, just prior, during, and after the black cat comes into our awareness. And all these positive and uplifting things happen to us. But we never take the time consciously to realize, hey, I can connect that black cat to those positive experiences, right? But what tends to happen is black cat comes around and one negative experience happens just prior to, during, or after that black cat walks in front of us, and we become very, very superstitious, and we begin associating the black cat to something that's unlucky or something that's bad in some way. So this negativity bias is within each and every one of us, right? And some of us to a higher degree than others. And we have to make sure we respect this negativity bias, but don't allow it to guide and lead our lives. And so when we go into a room as anxious people, as empaths as we are, right? As people that are struggling with a deep level of sensitivity and such, and moving towards anxiety, I think we have to be very, very aware that we're not allowing the negativity bias to take over, because in your environment, let's say there's 10 pieces of information, and 6 of those pieces of information are positive, and 4 of those pieces of information are in the negative side, then your negativity bias will gear you and move you towards focusing on the negatives within the environment. You won't even focus on the positives. There's more positive information than negative. But because of this, what happens is we go about our lives solely focusing on the negatives. And when something bad happens to us, many times as anxious people, what tends to happen is we turn that bad into catastrophic. I want you to notice this within you right now. I want you to notice how something that offends you happens throughout the day, right, guys? Something offends you, right? And you take that experience, and what happens is you get to a point where you 10x that experience. You start to label the person as a bad person who told you something. You start to internally start to believe that you are X, whatever the criticism might be. And what tends to happen is we begin labeling and judging ourselves so very harshly, but we don't really realize that this negativity bias is taking over. So we have to live our lives, starting today, with a high degree of awareness, because if we allow this negativity bias to run our lives, it will affect our perceptual filters. That word is very, very important, my friends, perceptual filter. When you perceive something, it goes through a filter system, right? And if your daily habitual way of living is to filter out the good and filter in the bad, then you're going to continue to perceive things that are bad as much, much worse, and you're going to perceive the good as not deserving the good, right? You're never going to experience a real deep sense of inner peace, And your happiness and joy will only come from those temporary temptations that you continue to fulfill. That could be junk food, that could be relying on somebody else, that could be movies, that could be sports events and such. You will continue to rely on your happiness, rely on these things for your happiness, and you will never truly experience what true happiness truly is. So, to overcome the negativity bias, first and foremost, we have to respect the fact that it's there. It's there, okay? It's there to some degree with us right now. I want you to take an experience from the last couple days and notice, hey, maybe this person has been a part of my life from years ago, right? And maybe they said something to me. Maybe there was an experience that happened. But let me look beyond this negativity bias and recognize that, you know what? This experience, if I can just take a moment to look at it from the outside and not from the perspective of the anxious me, I realize that in degree it was a lot smaller and gentler than what I made it out to be. Many times people complain about their situations. They complain about their work environment. They complain about all sorts of other things. But what you're complaining about right here, right now, is based on this negativity bias. And then the reason it's there is based around protection, because if you are in a negative state, you will take action. If you're in an inner peaceful state, you won't take action. It's a very present place to be. So this inner child is very much highly focused on getting you to continue to stand guard towards any kind of social or physical threats. And, we can go very, very deep into this, but what's very, very important is to understand when it arises. And as it arises, it's very, very important for us to continue to respond rather than react, right? Responding is a skill set. You have to get very, very good at it. But in order to respond, you have to have a high degree of awareness as you go through the day. This doesn't mean obsessiveness, okay? Awareness and obsessiveness are two different things. Am I obsessed with keeping track of every little detail in my environment to make sure I don't fall victim to the negativity bias? No. You're going through your day with the intention of, when I start to make a story worse than what it is, or an experience worse than what it is, or if I'm continuing to hold on to something from my past, then I must recognize that I'm doing so. And just that simple recognition will allow me to move in the direction of building the skill that is responding. If you read my second book, F Coping, Start Healing, you are familiar with responding. You are familiar with the tools that come with responding. So let's do a better and better job, right, of recognizing this program within us, and not feeling self-defeated because it has been running the show in the last couple of weeks, months, years of your life, but rather allowing us to say, you know what, I want to place an intention right here, right now, to say, anytime this negativity bias wants to take over, especially in new experiences, right? New experiences. Because what happens when someone invites you to a social gathering, aside from COVID, right? Aside from that, what happened? What happened in the past when someone, said, hey, let's go do something. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 people there. It's going to be super, super fun. Well, what started to kick in was, oh my God, they may see my anxiety symptoms. How can I possibly be around people that are emotionally neutral? They're going to think I'm weird or crazy. There's a lot of judgment going on there. I don't know what to wear. So on and so forth, right? What if I start choking on a piece of meat that they have with the food that's coming? There's all these stories that start to arise, and these stories are seeped within the inner child, trying to get you to stay in your comfort zones. So rather than saying, making up an excuse and saying, whatever, but What we can do is we can say, well, this is something that's within me, and rather than me being led by it, I need to make sure that I find intuitive ways to guide this part of me. And I think that each and every one of you are doing a better job of that. And when you can, more than anything, the subconscious mind takes orders from the conscious mind. Okay? So your inner child takes orders from your adult mind. But in order for this to happen, you literally have to send orders. What do a lot of people do in the world? What they do is they pray. I love praying. I love praying. Don't get me wrong. Prayer is very, very important each and every day. Um, but at the same time, sometimes we pray too much and we don't order enough, right? If I have a subconscious mind and body within me that is looking to be guided by my conscious side, I need to tell it what to do, right? I need to show it what's real and what's fake. I need to show it what is connected to an old belief system and what needs an upgrade. Okay, so the way I go about healing is, there's a part of my body that needs healing. And what I need you to do right here, right now, with your infinite possibilities within this body to spur on the right chemicals to create healing in my body, I want this to happen right in this moment. And I start to place myself in that world of being healed, right? If anybody's familiar with Bruce Lipton's work, um, he has a video out there of, and this is going in another direction, but he has a video out there of a person being healed of a tumor in their bodies, simply with the tapping into the right emotional states and the people around them creating a mantra. And believe it or not, right, you can literally see it in the video where the thing within them, the tumor within them, started to dissipate, started to disappear. So these are all possibilities, infinite possibilities within us. But what tends to happen in this world is that there's a distortion, right? Social media, the news, other people, society. There is a distortion of fear, right? There are things that we must protect against and acknowledge and become aware of, but at the same time, we must not be crippled by the message being sent by the media, right? Moving us in a state of franticness. Okay, because if this is the case, then we have no hope. We are literally not receiving information by them, but we're allowing them to install ideas into our belief systems. Okay, this is very, very important, guys, right? You mustn't allow people, the media, social media, whatever it is, to install ideas in you that may be distorted. But anyway, moving back to the negativity bias, I want you to see it within you. I want you to recognize that it's happening. I want you to come towards it from a place of understanding and compassion towards it, knowing that it's seeped on protection. It's not there to harm you or to hurt you in any way. And I need you to guide it gently, because when you guide it gently and you begin focusing on the positive aspects of the environment or the situation, then you're no longer telling yourself these catastrophic stories, right? And when you stop the stories, you can get present. And when you get present, you can become more mindful and you're living within inner peace. All our goals are inner peace. It's not happiness, right? It's not happiness. Happiness is a state. You move in and out of happiness. Joy is a state. You move in and out of joy. Okay, in order to experience these from your heart, right, from an internal level, not from an external level, we have to meet with inner peace. We have to be at peace with ourselves. We have to fall back in love with who we are. Are you falling back in love with who you are? Right? see parts of your bodies, right? How often have you taken time to say, thank you for taking me all these miles in these last 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years of my life? Have you taken the time to do that? Have you thanked your liver? Have you thanked your kidneys? Have you thanked your adrenals? Have you thanked your fight or flight response? Thank you for looking out for me. When was the last time you did that? Right? And just because you do it doesn't mean it's done. It's a continuation, right? We need to build momentum, just like a train that gets going. It starts slow in the beginning, and then the train picks up speed. And the more speed that train picks up, the harder it becomes to stop that train. Where are you on that journey? Right? Have you even left your stationary point? Where are you? Are you building momentum? How fast is that train going, guys? So just, to get going with this Facebook Live, I really wanted to reach out to you and to give you this message and to live your life more mindfully, yes, as well to, there was a time in my life. Let me finish with this before we get into Q&A, my friends. There was a time in my life during health anxiety, during generalized anxiety, during panic disorder. I had them all. During OCD, during agoraphobia, all of these labels and judgments, these diagnoses that we during those days, I was seeped in blame and guilt. Okay? Blaming someone from my past that broke up with me, saying, what did I do? What did I do wrong? How could she have ever been so cruel and so evil? Well, I was doing everything right for that person. How could they break up with me? And so I lived with that blame and that guilt. Parents, how could a father, a mother do X to me? And of course, we pick out the situations that were traumatic, right? We rarely ever, and when this is consciously, we have to do this. We have to focus on the good times from the past, because unconsciously you won't. Okay? So those negative experiences are right here in front of our faces, whereas the positive experiences are way out there, which we must grab and bring back into our awareness, right? So I focused on those negative experiences from the past. How could he? How could my father? How could my mother? How could my uncle? How could my authority figures do that to a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old? How could they? I would never do something like that. Blame, guilt, negativity, bias strengthened. So I lived my life with this. But I never took the time, I never took the moment to say, what has come out of this? What has come out of that bad, traumatic experience? How have I used that in some way to become more disciplined, to become more self-loving and gentle? How have I used this unconsciously and consciously? Right? We never take the time to do that. And we never take the time to realize that if I could see that experience again, right, many times, the things that people do to us that we deem as being negative and hurtful come from a place of love, right? It's just the only way that they knew how to show it in that moment. There was a goal that they had for you, something they wanted you to achieve. Maybe they thought that their belief systems were the right belief systems and they wanted to move it into you, right? And instead they emotionally punished you, okay? But it came from a place of love. So we have to take these past and present experiences and check in with ourselves and say, you know what? Are the stories that I'm telling myself based around the experiences actually true? Or is this negativity bias making it so much worse than what it really is? Okay, because as a society, we're becoming more divided when in fact we need to be united. We need to be united now more than ever. If we don't, I don't know. But it starts with me and you. You're here for a reason, right? And we're here more than anything to enlighten people. Okay? You know how many times I've been called a bald guru of some sort, right? Or something like that. It's all sorts of names, all sorts of things, right? Um, Fake, false, you name it. But the truth is, those people are just afraid. They're just afraid. Right? They're very afraid. And so it's up to us to unite this world, guys. It really is. Instead of divide it. Okay, because that really is a very important message that we need to work on as we get into Q&A. Did anything that I just said help you? Let's start there, right? Did I just babble for like 30 minutes? Or was there something that you could pick out from what I just said? Comment below that spoke to you, okay? Because I'd love to hear about it. Comment below, tell me the message that you gained. And the message could have just hit you right now, or it's something that was building from something earlier that I said. Either way, share it with us. Because there's a lot of healing that can happen simply by being gentle towards ourselves. Hit hard, but a good hard, Julie. That's great. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, oh man, I tell you guys, dry needling is painful, but nice to say it's better today. Forgiveness is the way, Meg says. Nuggets of truth, thank you so much. I will continue to build. We're moving into a phase now, guys, where we're gonna focus more on the practicality of things. Last week in the podcast, we focused on a couple of simple techniques that you can begin using to respond to the negativity bias and the fear. This coming podcast, we're going to focus on state control and physiology, how to use your body to override the thoughts in your mind. That's very, very important. That's a totally different subject. Andre, I'm doing great. Long time, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Nice to have you here with us. Are you in Bali or are you gone? Where are you? Yes, I stood up for myself today and felt guilty about it. Well, that guilty feeling doesn't come from your conscious side, does it? Right? That guilty feeling is based around a progression, right? It's something that has been building. You've been doing that to yourself, Jen, for far too long, right? And because you noticed it right here, right now, you can begin to pick apart the guilt. Okay, because let me tell you something, guys. It's very, very important to heal your past, okay, to clean up your stuff from the past. I always start with that, right, with people and the reframing process. But at the same time, the responding process is just as important, okay? Just because you feel guilty, like Buddha said. What did Buddha say? Okay, I'm totally going to mess up the exact explanation from Buddha, but the Buddha said, in life, we are going to be presented with those first arrows or those first darts. Okay, and when he refers to those first arrows and those first darts, he means the initial thing that happened to us, a bad feeling, a feeling of guilt or something we did, those sorts of things. So life is going to present us with these experiences that cause us to feel negative feelings. That's the first dart. But to throw the second dart is up to you, he says. To throw the second arrow is up to you. Okay, so the first one is unconscious, involuntary. But the second, third, fourth, fifth, that is within our control. And we just have to build that skill. That's called responding. So are you continuing to send yourself all these extra darts and arrows, or are you recognizing that the first dart is called life, okay, and moving it in a different direction in some way? Still in Bali? Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah. Let's connect. Let's connect. Let's connect. Sending gratitude to your body, the morning routine, even just for 5 minutes, Josh. Absolutely, 100%, my friend, 100%. After all these years of working with people and trying to better myself, I'm really realizing how important those initial minutes are. Yes, we have this instinct to grab our phone and to look up what the latest numbers are with COVID and all that sort of stuff and lockdowns and such, but you really have to override those instincts. You really have to focus back on intuitively doing the right thing for yourself, or else you're going down that rabbit hole, and that's a scary place to be. That's a dangerous place to be, really. Kim, maybe we can help Kim. If there's anything specific, Kim, that we can help you with, please let us know in the comments. Yes, once I felt guilt, I thought, why am I feeling guilt? That's a huge step with me. Ask yourself a better question and you'll get a better answer. Many times we ask ourselves the wrong questions, right? And those questions are based on fear. They're not based on understanding. They're not based around curiosity. They're not based around acknowledging something. They're not based around gentleness or self-love, right? They're based around fear. And what's important is to ask yourself better questions. What brought on this guilt? Why does this guilt want to continue to live within me? Why do I feel so guilty about that thing that I did? Blameful. Why am I so blameful towards that person? Am I still reliving the present based on something that took place in the past? Because many times, when an experience happens from the past, that continues to live within us. And if a like experience happens in the present, we find that we are acting a similar way. So that's why it's so important to clean up our past, guys. Let's go into questions for sure, for sure. Um, Getting all these comments from YouTube. A lot of people commenting on the YouTube videos. It's nice to see. It's nice to hear. It's nice to connect. Um, I need to know why I get so irritated sometimes. Okay, a good place to start with that, Lawana, is, well, what are you still holding on to from your past? Did someone wrong you in multiple ways, possibly? Um, are you still angry at someone or something that you did? What sort of emotional baggage are you still carrying around that's still heavy from past experiences? It's a good place to start. Then after the guilt comes depression. Julie, you're a work in progress, as is everybody else. Um, I know that being around this sort of group, this sort of environment, and hearing these words are going to help you if you allow that help to come in. Many times, I'm not saying you, but other people don't allow the help. They don't allow themselves to have help from others. They don't allow themselves to even go there because it's a scary place. Change can be scary for people, right? Because if you've suffered with fear, anxiety for all these years, and all of a sudden you're here and you're guided in another direction, that can be overwhelming sometimes. Guilt comes from other people's expectations. We need to let go of those. Thank you for those beautiful messages. How do I how do I help my son who is starting middle school next week? He's usually happy-go-lucky. Now he has stomach issues, which is related to nervousness, yes. I want to give him good skills to help him. Sometimes, Val, we look to try to do too much, especially around that age of preteen years. I think what's very, very important is for you to allow him to learn the lessons he needs to. There doesn't need to be a high degree of control or certainty within this experience for your child. I think that uh, we basically have to plant the seed of that child being open to other ideas based around school, what's coming up. And many times, yes, we have to respect the fact that if a new experience is showing up, sometimes there's going to be nervousness, or sometimes there's going to be happiness, sometimes there's going to be fear, so on and so forth. But I think that if you can install within him the idea of being flexible, even if he does feel something that doesn't align with happiness, then he's going to be slowly brought towards accepting the experience and truly loving it in a short period of time. So, flexibility is very, very important, I believe, as well. If you get a chance, this Monday in the podcast, we're going to be focusing on physiology and state control to shift an emotional state. I believe that we can move this sort of teaching towards the children as well. So you can help your child uh, retain an empowered posture, number one, and help them to focus on breathing patterns, number two, in order for them to truly change the way they feel. Um, so if you listen to this Monday's podcast and install those ideas into your child prior to starting school and get them to work on those things, it's going to make a big difference. So again, flexibility in thinking, posture, breathing patterns, because every single state that we've ever experienced has a certain breathing pattern and has a certain physiology. So those are very, very important. Many times we try to change, especially with our children, we get them to think differently about an experience, think about it this way, think about it that way. But when you try to focus overly on changing thought patterns, it's very difficult to make a change in the body in terms of emotional state and feelings. But if we change something in the body, it becomes so much easier to change our thinking patterns. So, this Monday's episode is very, very important. Karen, how are you? It's good to see you, Karen. Um, I am struggling with believing the body symptoms are physiological. Well, yeah, only a part of you is struggling to believe that. Another part of you isn't. And not really anything wrong. You have been medically checked. How do I change my mindset and not worry all the time? It's constant. Um, are you looking for something? Be honest with yourself. Are you looking for something, some kind of a human need that you're trying to attain through maintaining this anxiety, maintaining this fear, and standing guard? We call it standing guard. Um, Many times these secondary gains can be the very motivation to keeping this perspective alive, right? I'll give you an example with me. It was love and connection. It was acceptance. It was finding an identity, all these things. So I kept my anxiety alive because I was searching and looking for these types of things in my life. There is a subconscious motivation, Karen, to keeping the perspective of believing that your bodily symptoms are in fact something dangerous. So the question is, why is the inner child so motivated to keeping this perspective alive? Um, but more than anything, what you need to start doing is to really start sitting with. and respecting that part of you that hasn't gotten as much attention as the other part of you. One part of you that feels threatened, and it feels like it's developing an illness or has an illness or something, gets a lot of attention and focus, whereas other parts of you doesn't. And I think it's important for you to start gently, like as if you're dealing with a child, to start gently beginning to listen to that side of you, gently to begin spending time with that part of you. Um, and I would go in that direction truly. It is, if you do think about it, it does take a tremendous amount of energy and willpower to maintain anxiety. It really does, right? Conscious, unconscious, doesn't matter, right? To maintain an anxious state, it's tiring, okay? And you have to admit that a part of you is maintaining it because of some kind of safety factor, right? Anxiety has too much power in my life. It's a good realization, Jen, a good realization. And Jen, and everybody else out there, you now know what doesn't work. And as long as you know what doesn't work, you're going to find out what will work. Okay? But that inner child is very, very, very motivated to keeping you in a fearful state, because there's no action that comes from inner peace. Right? There's no action or reaction that comes from inner peace. Okay? It doesn't, in the eyes of the inner child, inner peace um, doesn't help you maintain your survival. Okay, but fear and anxiety and worry can. Okay. Anxiety gave me a place to run in my mind to block out situations that made me uncomfortable. Thank you for sharing. These are great shares. Leslie, how are you? There are perks to anxiety, love, and attention. I believe so. I believe so. I believe so. It's tough to see. It's definitely tough to see and tap into, but over time, if we give change a chance, we start to see things differently. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And many times, guys, it's very, 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 very important to get more specific, right? Because it's very easy to say, well, how to heal anxiety, and we do the things to heal anxiety, but many times it doesn't really target what we personally may need. So I think what's very important for each and every one of us is brutal honesty, to be brutally honest with ourselves, to be brutally honest with ourselves. Um, and again, I'm a big believer with starting in the past. And that doesn't mean reliving past so much. That means recognizing what you're feeling and how it connects to the past, right? Recognizing what you're feeling and how it connects to the past. This is a very important place to start, really. Scroll. Let's see if we can find a few more questions. My insomnia has really triggered my health anxiety, especially before I go to sleep. I have watched several of your videos which have helped. Any tips on how to deal with body scanning and obsessing over symptoms? Yes. Go to YouTube, Sky, and start the mapping meditation each and every day, either within the first 20 minutes of waking up or the last 20 minutes prior to going to sleep. Okay, so start with the mapping meditation each and every day. As far as body scanning goes, I would also do the gray room. Um, the gray room is in the End the Anxiety program, as well as the Inner Circle program. Um, I've also done the gray room quite often, and it probably is on a YouTube video somewhere. I'm not really sure. But I, more than anything, for the majority of things that you guys are talking about, I focus on a handful of techniques, right? I really do. And you don't need more than those, right? I focus on, and you want to write these down, go ahead. I focus on the mapping meditation to create a new and loving relationship with the body. Okay, so the mapping meditation, and what mapping did for me is it really created disinterest around anxiety symptoms, okay, which led me towards real deep healing. So mapping meditation I do. Um, the gray room. The gray room is more so focused on eliminating a lot of these uh, blocks, negative blocks in our lives that prevent us from seeing the truth and prevent us from deeper levels of healing. So mapping meditation, gray room, I do spinning. In NLP, there's a process called spinning or spin cycle. I do that technique. Emotional reframing for inner child work, I do that one. And magic frame. Okay, so if you want to write those down, that's great. But if you can master these 5, you are, my God, you are really, going in a massively positive direction, right? But you do need to master those meditations and reframes, okay? Because they're 2 separate things. They do separate things, okay? And comment below if you have done the gray room before. Have you done the gray room before? Comment below if you've done the magic frame before. What were your experiences? Yes, Val, in the Inner Circle program, at a certain point in the program, you go through 1 week of specifically the meditations and the other week specifically for the reframes. Okay, you need both. The meditation creates clarity and insight. The reframe gets rid of that heavy negative emotional bag that you're carrying in your body. Okay, there you go, Jen. You've never done those before. I highly suggest that you get into these techniques. Okay, you get into them. They are on YouTube, most of them. But again, write these down. You need to master these techniques, and they do different things. Gray room, magic frame, emotional reframing, spinning, mapping meditation. Those are the 5. Those are the top 5. Okay. There's no need for me to bring on more different techniques. Yes, I mold these depending on the person I'm working with sometimes, but you don't need anything more than those. Okay. Silly question. When in a dental chair with no shots and they use a hard grinding drill and you get so dizzy they have to stop, how do you get through that? What technique? For that specifically, Linda, I would go on YouTube and look up future reframing. Okay, go on YouTube and look up the future reframing technique that I have there. Run that multiple times until you feel like your emotional state has shifted. While you're during, right, the responding process, so you're responding to the sensitivity and the fear, I would focus on the podcast that we're going to be doing this week on Monday, which focuses on posture and breathing patterns. Because if you can control those things, you're controlling your emotional state. You'll literally start to perceive the experience differently. Okay, your body will experience a sense of calm, and you'll go through the experience with more gratitude than fear. Okay, so those are my suggestions. Yeah, there are a host of techniques and such based on reframing and based on responding and meditation on YouTube, guys. But those 5 are the ones you want to focus on. Okay, if you're doing the Inner Circle program, if you're doing the health anxiety program, You will have those audios at some point in the 12-week and the 16-week journey. You will have those to do anytime you'd like to. But that's the list. That really is the list. Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, and then bookmark it. Bookmark that future reframing process, Linda. And just anytime you start to make up stories about a future experience, do that. Okay, do that exercise so that you can literally start to think and stop replaying old thought patterns. Learning so much. How do I join a podcast? Depending on the type of mobile device you have, if you have an Apple phone, then you can go on the podcast, the Apple Podcast directory, Jen, and you can subscribe to the Anxiety Guy podcast. All you have to do is whatever podcast directory you have, just on the search, look up the Anxiety Guy podcast and subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button and you'll get updates on the next episodes. Oh, you're very welcome. Anytime. Yes, you're very welcome. Yes, this will help with anticipatory anxiety 110%. Yes. These are these are in the reframing category, guys, and when we talk about reframing, we can reframe past experiences and relationships, and we can reframe future experiences, right? Anything that makes you feel nervous, makes you feel uptight, tense about something that's coming up in the future, we can reframe those as well. So you find those techniques on YouTube. But again, I would like you to stick to the 5 techniques that I just gave you. My progress is amazing because of you. That's really nice to hear. That's really great. That really makes me happy. That's really good stuff. That's great. It's all about progress. We may not be where we want to be, but we feel like we are opening up to that world each and every day, right? We are opening up to that world and we are brought to the next step. So that's really, really awesome. Really awesome. Uh, do you go into these techniques in your inner circle program? Yes, yes, as I think I mentioned. Yes, those techniques are there. Missed the 5 techniques? Okay. Mapping meditation, gray room, spinning, emotional reframing, okay, taking care of past, that's a lot of inner child work right there. Magic frame, okay. You can watch this again. I'll be posting it on YouTube. Ton of progress thanks to the health anxiety program. Long way to go, but very grateful. I'm glad, Jeff, because I wanted to make the health anxiety program and the inner circle so that people who are overwhelmed, which I know most people are, if not all of them, are already overwhelmed, to be able to simplify the journey. To simplify the journey to the point where we're focusing on one aspect of healing daily, just one, and to be able to focus on that topic for the week. So that's what the health anxiety program and the inner circle programs do. It's not like I'm searching for healing. Oh, what's this? This book and that program there, and and more than anything, I don't like people going through programs and just leaving them alone, right? Like 95% of the emails that I receive, like I get 30 to 40 per day, these questions such, I allocate a certain time to responding to those questions. So I'm literally with you day by day through all of my programs, which needs to happen. It needs to happen that way. This group has made such a difference in my life. That's fantastic. That's really great to hear. Kim, you're very welcome. Yeah, and depending on what it is that you truly need, you may need to focus on, for example, there's a whole there's a whole explanation behind each and every one of these techniques, right? And I don't like wasting my time with stuff that doesn't work. I like to focus on the techniques that work very, very quickly. Okay. Um, so, like, for example, magic frame. Like, we can even do a magic frame process right here, right now, if you'd like to. Um Give me 10 comments below in the next 45 seconds that you'd like to do one of those, and we can do that. We started with a meditation, which is great for the Facebook Live, and we can do a magic frame if you'd like to as well. Magic frame is quite quick, quite quick. It doesn't take much time, but it is again a very powerful way of us continuing. I don't want to give you much theory behind it. The theory is pointless because then you'll start overthinking the process. I'd rather just jump right into it, which is the way I like doing things. Oh, a lot of people want to do it. Sorry, I missed the conversation. We'll watch the whole thing. But yeah, reposted Dana Sunday morning on YouTube. Sunday morning. Yeah, I will post this. I will post this. If someone says no, then that's fine. Majority wins. No problem. 100%. Okay, well, get comfortable where you are. Yeah. Give your body a bit of a shake, right? You've done a great job. Give your mind a bit of a shake and just let go of any tension that you're holding on to. Okay, cool. And just for a few moments here, why don't you go ahead and close your eyes? And as you close your eyes, I want you to go ahead and take your finger and point to an area of your body where you're holding on to the very thing you want to get rid of. Okay, if it's fear, where are you holding the fear in your body? If it's guilt, blame, all these subtopics, anxiety, where are you holding onto it in your body? Okay, there it is. Now, I want you to answer a couple questions for me. I want you to tell me what color is connected to that feeling. You can answer in your mind. Okay, does it feel like it's a hot or a cold feeling? Does it feel heavy or light? Okay. Now I want you to take your other finger and I want you to point to an area outside of your body to a picture that connects to that fear or that anxiety, the thing that you're holding on to in your body. Okay, so you got one finger on the actual thing that you want to get rid of in your body, and you've got your other finger pointing to a picture outside of your body that connects to the fear. And this could be an experience from the past, yes. Now I want you to take that picture and I want you to put a frame around it. Yeah, you can open up your eyes. I want you to put a nice big frame around it so we know how big it is. How big is it? All right, now close your eyes again. And as you close your eyes, I want you to take the edges of that frame, edges of that picture, and I want you to make it bigger. And notice what happens to the feelings in your body. It's okay. Now I want you to take that picture and make it smaller, back to its original size. That's right. Notice what changes happen in the feelings in your body. Then I want you to take that picture and I want you to bring it closer to you, right in front of your face. And notice what happens to the feelings in your body. It's okay to go there. Then I want you to take this picture and move it away from your body, farther and farther away from your body. That's right. Good. Bring that picture right back into its original place. Now I want you to shrink it down to the size of a postage stamp. Notice what happens to the feelings in your body when you shrink it down to the size of a postage stamp. That's right. Now I want you to grab that black knob below the image and turn the black knob so the image blackens out completely. Notice how that makes you feel. Now go ahead and grab the white knob. Turn the white knob so the image whitens out completely. Notice how that makes you feel. Notice which one of these made you feel better, black or white, and keep it there. Keep it either in black or white, whichever one made you feel better. That's right. Now I'm going to count to 3, And when I get to the number 3, you're going to take this image and you're going to throw it behind you as far as you possibly can, and it can land in the middle of the ocean and be eaten by sharks. It can be put on a rocket ship and be flown to Mars and explode. But you're going to put this picture, this experience, somewhere where it cannot be retrieved anymore, where it cannot be retrieved when I get to the number 3. 1, 2, 3. Throw this image as far as you possibly can behind you. Notice that when it gets to that place, it disappears, it blows up, you're rid of it, it's gone forever. That's right, and you can let it go now. You can let it go. That's right. Now in front of you, there's this big whiteboard. And on that whiteboard, you get to write down all the lessons that you want to keep from this experience. So I want you to take your finger and begin writing on that whiteboard all the lessons that you learned from this experience. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about it? So you can keep the lessons and you can let the rest go. That's right. Start writing. You can write as much as you want. You can write with one finger or two, doesn't matter. Your subconscious mind is getting every little detail of what you're writing down. Don't worry. That's right. As you write it all out, you're keeping these lessons, and you're letting the rest go. Good. And when you're done writing, I want you to take that whiteboard and I want you to put it right into your heart. That's right. I want you to kind of sit with it. Good. Notice the feelings of gratitude. Notice the feelings of lightness. Notice the feelings of connection starting to take over. And when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and notice the change. If the fear or anxiety was a 10 before, is it a 0 now? I want you to notice from a scale of 0 to 10, how much did it lessen? The feeling in your body. Welcome to the magic frame. All right, comment below on your experience. Well done. Good job for being totally open and playing with the magic frame. Yep. That was first time doing that. Wow. Okay. Just notice how you feel. Just notice what happened to the feeling in your body. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah. Someone says, whenever you say let it go, it sounds so calming to me. Jen, you started crying? All right. Welcome to the techniques that I use, basically a handful or just a bit more than that, to rid people of the very things that they're holding on to. And how quick can change be? Okay, someone said, I'm starting to cry. Crying is a sign of purging. It's a sign of release. So crying, every tear that comes out is a tear of guilt, is a tear of blame, is a tear of fear. Okay, and you're literally releasing all of that. I feel some relief. I cried too, cried again. Everybody's crying, which is great. Yawning is another sign. Awesome, Josh. That's fantastic. And I want you to notice, guys, I mean, if you tell yourself the story of, oh, healing takes a long time, right? Well, you convince yourself that it's taken a long time. But right here, right now, do you feel better? How long did it take? Literally, 3 minutes. Okay, 3 minutes through a magic frame process to get you to feel differently, think differently, and be someone different. Okay, interesting, felt lighter afterwards and cooler. Yeah, so with anxiety, there's a lot of heat that's built up in the body, 100%. Heat left the spot in the body I was holding on to. Kim says, I loved it. There you go. So, guys, yeah, use that magic frame as I post it on YouTube. You can find the exact time that we started it and kind of play it out each day if you'd like to. As well, it's in each and every program and in top-notch audio form. Makes you feel so much lighter. So yeah, I mean, what we're talking about here is two separate things, right? We got the techniques that we need to make sure that we do each day. Okay, as I mentioned, those big five. And then we have the responding, right? Which again, um, this Monday's podcast is going to be important in terms of physiological responses. But I'm glad I've been able to make a dent, a big, nice, big dent in your fears today, my friends. Um, yes, and the pictures with anxiety sufferers are many times right in front of our faces, and they're huge, right? And what happens when we shrink those pictures down and we put it somewhere else? It's kind of like you on your computer or your laptop, where when you put the picture behind you, okay, and you put it somewhere imaginative where you can't relive it or re-experience it, it's kind of like putting the experience in the recycling bin in your laptop, right? So you're putting the program in the recycling bin, but many times when you delete it, does it get deleted? No, it's still in the computer. So when you do these processes multiple times, then it gets deleted. Okay, so continue, my friends, to master these skills. It's really all about mastery. And thank you for joining me today, guys. It really was a fantastic experience for me. I love every second that I get with you all, really do. Um, and I can't wait till the next one. Be doing these every week or 2 weeks on Facebook. If you know anybody out there that can benefit from this, please go ahead and share this experience or share something, the YouTube videos or whatever it is. That would mean a lot to me. And it really is about reaching as many people as possible to help as many people as possible. So, Leslie, good to see you. Anna, you're very welcome. Nice to connect and nice to be here with you all. Sis, yeah, good to see you. Anita, good to see you. Josh, my man, Val, everybody, Kim, grateful for you all. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. You are all more than anxiety, and I think that you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see it, you're starting to believe it, and soon you're going to become it. Okay, that's my message to you all today. This will be posted on YouTube Sunday morning. Oh, love you all. Have a great day.